It's been 30 years since we've been to Hawaii, and we just finished 4 days on the Big Island. Our flight this morning takes us over Maui on our way to Oahu. We've decided to give up the car and base ourselves in Waikiki. From here, we're planning on taking tours to explore the island. After settling into our hotel, we have some time for a quick lunch. We're trying Sam's Kitchen, splitting an order of spicy garlic shrimp before being picked up near a hotel for an afternoon hike at Manoa Falls. The tour is called Jurassic Park Waterfall Adventure, since we'll see some of the locations where Jurassic Park was filmed. We were told the trail is a lot drier than it has been, which we were surprised, finding some of the areas a sloppy mess. And we soon christened this our mud hike. It was only about a mile to the waterfall, but it seemed longer due to the conditions.
So the waterfall itself is 150 feet. It's a beautiful waterfall right now because we are in the wet season, and the dry season is probably a third of that size. It's a little trickle that comes down.
After getting cleaned up, we headed out looking for a restaurant called Marigame Udon. The line was long, but we decided it was worth the wait. It only took us about 20 minutes to get up to the ordering desk, where it felt like you had to give them your order in exactly the right way, or no soup for you. The prices were reasonable and the portions were large, but we were both expecting something a little spicier. The next morning we went down to the Saturday's Farmers Market by the zoo. It was a bit disappointing, with only about 10 booths, but we're actually on our way down to Waikiki Beach to meet up with Kelly for our combination bike and food tour. There were only 4 of us on the trip, and the Bluetooth speaker system on the bikes worked great.
And right behind the fence here, you can see the mother hen with her chicks. That's kind of like our adopted state bird.
With a quick stop at Queen Kapiolani Park, we were soon at our first destination, the South Shore Grill, for a fish taco. Next door was the Ars Cafe, where we had a taste of some interesting ice cream. Just down the street was Diamond Head Market and Grill, where we were treated to some blueberry cream cheese scones. They had a lot of flavor and were surprisingly moist. We then rode by the historic Rainbow Drive-In, on our way to Bailey's Antique and Aloha shirts. They are said to have over 15,000 shirts, some dating back to the 1930s, the most collectible ones worn by celebrities. Getting back to food, we're now visiting Daono. Kelly points out a number of the dishes that we're going to try. First of all is lau, shredded pork steamed in a taro leaf, telling us the taro leaf tastes more like a cross between spinach and collard greens. He'll also be ordering us the traditional Hawaiian purple sweet potato.
We're going to do this, and we're also going to do this, the haupia for dessert. Nice. And oh, you're going to love it. This is really good. And then we're going to head across the street to the best poke in the world. And it's so tender that it will literally cut like butter. Try it. Cut it into fourths.
Wow.
Across the street was Ono Seafood, where we tasted 2 different types of poke. They were similar to the kind we had in Hilo, but not quite as tasty, and seemed to have more oil. Our next stop was the Waialoa shaved ice stand, with the ice shaved so fine it almost felt creamy in your mouth. They also sold salted dried fruit, collectively known as crackseed, and was a favorite of the Asian sugarcane plantation workers. Leonard's Bakery first opened in 1952. Leonard was the grandson of Portuguese immigrants, and his bakery is known for their malasadas. They were very light and airy and almost melted in your mouth. Marianne tried one with a sweet and sour sugar made from dried plums. The one with regular sugar won hands down. Our last stop was the Honolulu Coffee Experience Center for some local Kona coffee. That night we thought we'd get a drink at the revolving restaurant top of Waikiki. Besides the view, it had very little to offer. Today we're heading over to the Kualoa Ranch, where we have a number of tours booked. When we first got there, we felt like this was just another high-volume tourist park, herding people from one event to another, but it was actually just well organized, making it a fun, interesting day.
Welcome to Kualoa. Welcome to the Movie Side Tour. It's actually the Movie Side Ranch Valley Tour. So it's all information about the ranch history as well as movies. So it's all mixed up.
A number of different locations in the ranch are rented out for TV and movie production. Our first stop is one of these locations, a World War II bunker. We were told about its history and how it was used in defending the island against the Japanese. These bunkers have now been repurposed to be used as TV and movie sets. The 4,000-acre ranch encompasses a number of gorgeous valleys. That includes some well-known movie locations, like this one from Jurassic Park, where Grant and the kids took cover behind this log. The ranch still includes livestock, meandering in and out of the set pieces, like these ones from Kong, Skull Island. After a tour of some of the movie locations, our day included a buffet lunch. That afternoon, we were scheduled for a tour on ATVs. Our last tour of the day takes us to another part of the property. Along the way, we learn a little bit more about the native Hawaiian culture.
That is Ku. Ku is the god of war. Next to him we have Kane. Kane is the god of fresh water, revered to be the most powerful god for that reason. If you're the god of fresh water, you're the giver and taker of life. Next to him, third from the left, is Lono. Lono is the god of agriculture, peace, and fertility. And all the way on the right-hand side, that is Kanaloa. Kanaloa is god of the ocean or god of the deep sea.
Just offshore is the small island called Chinaman's Hat, along with the Moli Fish Pond. There are only a few of these fish ponds remaining, and they date back to the ancient Hawaiians and were used to raise and harvest fish. We soon come up to another set piece. This one was a paddock for the Indominus Rex from Jurassic World. The tour is a nice mixture, with some history of the Hawaiian Islands mixed in with some wonderful scenery and interesting props.
Here's a real U.S. Marine helicopter, however, actually looked a little too big to be on camera. So to come back on the size as well as the weight, they actually now primarily made it out of styrofoam. We can see some of that styrofoam deteriorating under the right rotor there. That white spot is not supposed to be there. But I'll tell you guys what, they'll actually make anything a movie set nowadays. You guys see the dome at the top of the rotor there? The dome on the very top of the helicopter is a cooking wok. It blew off in a storm. One of our staff members went and picked it up. It still had the price tag on it. So a very cool scene from Kong's Skull Island. And a little funny fact to go along with it. It's Queen Kalama's land, hence why this is known as Kalama Lookout. Queen Kalama, the favored wife of King Kamehameha III, she rented the land of 33 Hawaiians who plant the many mango trees we see throughout our property today. This is a small mango. It's a very small string. It's not very good. You guys like mango?
Yeah.
40 different variety of mango grows here on the island. So if you guys like it, you got your pickings for sure. And after it's Queen Kalama's land, she left it to her uncle. Her uncle dies without any heirs, so the land was sold at a public auction. All 1,100 acres we are currently looking at sold in 1880 for the whopping price of $5,215. So not a lot of money nowadays, but definitely a lot of money back in 1880.
Finishing up our tour, we only had a short period of time before catching our bus back to Honolulu. That night we again had spicy garlic shrimp at Sam's, then stopped in at the Lava Tube for a $4.99 Mai Tai. We're up early the next morning to get a quick bite from the buffet before catching our 11-hour island circle tour with Oahu Nature Tours.
Aloha. Aloha. I have just greeted you in my Olelo, Hawaii, which is known to be my Makuahine Olelo, my mother tongue, which is known to be the Hawaiian language, rarely spoken here on the island of Oahu. Now, the only place you will hear Olelo, Hawaii spoken fluently is on the island of Niihau. Niihau is known to be the forbidden island. No one is allowed. If you are invited to Niihau as a guest, by the time the sun sets, you would have to be off that island. Now today we will be taking a tour around the island of Oahu. The only Ahupua'a or Moku district we will not be going into is the Waianae district.
The Aupua'as were originally controlled by different chieftains, each one stretching from the mountaintops to the sea. The border between these regions were indicated by a boar's head, and current border monuments still honor that tradition. Our first stop is the Hanamuna Bay Fish Sanctuary, which is known for its great snorkeling, which we tried on our honeymoon 30 years ago. We also made a quick stop at the Halona Blowhole. Among the jagged tide pools at the Walamalu Beach Park, we saw Hawaiian black crabs. Like most of the 200 different species of crabs in Hawaii, these ones have 10 legs. With my attention on the crabs, I was surprised when I turned around and saw this brown booby right next to me, and it didn't seem too concerned about my presence. After leaving the southeast point of the island, we drove up to the Nu'uanu Pali Outlook. Our next destination is the Valley of the Temples. Within this beautiful landscape cemetery, we visited the non-practicing Byoda Inn Buddhist temple. Ringing this 3-ton Bonsho bell before entering the temple is supposed to give you happiness and longevity. The statue here of Buddha stands 18 feet tall and is covered in gold leaf. As we were leaving, we were getting a little hungry, so we tried one of these coconut tapioca puddings, topped with some fresh mango. Heading further north, we're up by Kualoa Ranch again. This time we spent a little time at Kualoa Park, where we saw some red-crested cardinals, as well as getting a closer look at Chinaman's Hat. A little further north of that, we saw some monk seals lounging on the beach. Making our way to North Shore, we stopped for lunch at Fumi's, one of the many shrimp farm stands in the area. The shrimp are grown in ponds, just behind the stands. Marianne had buttered garlic shrimp, while I tried the coconut fried shrimp, followed up with the local favorite, shaved ice. But this is nowhere near as good as the one we had on our food tour. This was more like a regular old snow cone. Finishing off our North Shore experience, we stopped at the famous surfing locations Sunset Beach and the Bonsai Pipeline.
Counting down to start the final. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, the finals is on for the Sunset Open. Top 2 waves will be counted to get to first place. Here we go, that's Blue Eli Hanneman. Got a little hung up on the top right there.
Oh shit, you gotta finish this one. Yeah, do it on.
Our trip includes a gorgeous walk through the Waimea Valley and a visit to their famous falls. In the 1970s, the Waimea Valley was being developed as a botanical garden, and many rare and interesting plants were brought in from around the world. This area was also considered a sacred valley for the ancient Hawaiians, and they had examples of a kulahala, a group of buildings used by the high-ranking chief or priest. Our last stop is at the famous Dole Pineapple Plantation, where we got one of their famous Dole whips and learned how to pick out and carve a pineapple.
you don't want it to smell like pineapple. So usually people go, oh, like, you know, it smells like pineapple, it's ready to go. That means if you smell a strong pineapple scent, that means it's rotting in the inside. You shouldn't get it. So if you're interested in planting it, you just twist off the top. Also, color doesn't matter. This side of the pineapple got more sunlight than this one. So when planting, just take off about 2 to 3 inches. We wanted to sit out for 3 days so it could completely dry. And then after 3 days, you want to stick it in a jar of water. Once you notice it to start to get roots, it'll be like little white stems growing out of it. That means it's ready to plant. And pineapple do take a long time. It takes about 18 months to 3 years.
On our way back to Waikiki, we were entertained with some ukulele music and local stories. Back in town, we noticed they were having a night market. That meant street food for dinner. We still have 2 more full days in Oahu, where we're planning on visiting the Polynesian Cultural Center and an organic produce farm on Oahu's west side.